Everybody. Welcome to today's virtual program with Turnstile Tours. My name is Andrew Gustafson. I'm so excited to welcome everybody because we're going back to the Essex market today. It's been a place we haven't visited in a while on our virtual programs, although we've continued to shop there pretty regularly. So we're really excited. And it's just a week before Thanksgiving. So that's going to be the theme of today's program. I see we have people that are continuing to join us as we're all sort of settling in. Just wanted to mention a couple of things. For one, is we have closed captioning available down at the bottom of the screen. So our colleague Brian is handling that. If you're joining us on YouTube, welcome. You can also drop in questions and comments throughout the program today. And if you want to ask questions here on Zoom, you can, of course, drop them into the chat. So we encourage you to share your questions, to share your Thanksgiving traditions, because that's what today's program is all about. We're going to be talking about the foods of Thanksgiving from all over the world that are represented in the Essex market. So we're going to talk to a number of different vendors today. Thanksgiving is going to be very different for most people this year. Most people are not going to have large family gatherings. And of course, we want to encourage people to be safe and to help control the spread of the pandemic. So we're also going to share some tips and some ideas for having maybe a smaller scale Thanksgiving than you might usually be accustomed to. So just a couple of things I want to mention before we dive in. Again, we are from Turnstile Tours, and we have been doing these virtual programs now for the last several months since back in March, and we have more programs coming up. We just announced a bunch of them this morning. So I just want to share with you a few that we have coming up that might be of interest. So our next one is going to be next Tuesday, the 24th, Cass Gilbert's New York. We're actually going to be joined by the architect Cass Gilbert's great-granddaughter. So that should be a really interesting program. We'll talk about his whole portfolio. Then on Saturday, so the weekend after Thanksgiving, we're going to have a family story time with author Peter Reynolds. So we're looking forward to that, and that'll be a free program so you can get the kids and all gather around. Then on the 30th, I'm going to be doing a program about a place where I used to live, which is near Lake Baikal in Siberia. So we're going to talk about the natural and cultural history of that region of Russia. On December 2nd, we're going back to the NYC ferry. We did a ferry program a couple weeks ago, and it was hugely popular. We did the Astoria route. Now we're going to do the South Brooklyn route. So that'll be on December 2nd. And then on the 3rd, we're going to another public market. We're going to visit La Marqueta in East Harlem, the Park Avenue retail market, and we're going to go to the Urban Garden Center to talk about trees and plants for the holiday season. So that'll be a fun program. We also do have some in-person tours coming up. Again, we're doing them in a small, limited way with social distancing in mind. So our next Prospect Park walking tour is going to be on this Sunday, November 22nd at 10:30 a.m. I just wanted to mention this program is made possible through your support and through the support of the New York City Economic Development Corporation. If you want to continue to see our programs, you can become a member. And so we have different levels of membership that give you access to live programs, as well as our library of more than 160 recorded programs that we've done since March. And then we also do special members events and content and things like that. So that's just a little bit about us and what we have coming up. So we have a few guests that'll be joining us today, who I'm going to introduce in just a minute. But before we do that, we also have another component of today's program. Again, we want to encourage people to use the chat. So share with us where you're joining us from, any special Thanksgiving traditions that you have. But we're also going to play a little bit of trivia today about some of the foods we'll talk about, as well as about Thanksgiving. And so we're going to use a tool that some of you may be familiar with. which is called Menti. So we're going to drop into the chat right now the link to use this. And so you can click on that. We recommend doing it on your phone so you can kind of watch the program, and you can also play along. And we have a prize for the winner at the end of the program. So be sure to play along and we'll announce the winner at the end. Okay, so we're just going to do before we bring on our first guest, we're just going to do a quick test of this with our first question. So again, you can click on the link in the chat, and if you have any issues, you can drop that into the chat as well. But you can click the link in the chat, or you can go to the website that's going to appear on your screen in just a second. And so bear with me for 1 second, folks, and we will get this started. Okay. So we have a few people who have who've joined in, as I can see. So this is question number 1. So you can either click the link in the chat, or you can go to menti.com and type in that code. It's 5712986. So I'm going to start the first question right here, and we'll ask the questions throughout the program. All right, so the first question: which of the following was not one of the original 10 NYC indoor public retail markets? So is it the 13th Avenue Market, the Havemeyer Street Market, the Chelsea Market, or the Moore Street Market? So again, I know it's been several months since we last did a market program. So if you think back to some of the programs you did in the history of public markets. All right, everybody got it. All right, awesome. And so again, we'll be peppering these questions throughout the program this afternoon. But what I want to do now is bring on our first guests. So I want to welcome people who've been on the show with us before, Laura Nova and Theresa Loong. So I'm going to invite them to join us. Hey, Theresa.
Hello, Andrew.
Hey, Laura. How's it going? So yeah, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us and speaking with us about a place that you know so well, which is the Essex Market. So why don't you tell me a little bit? I know you're both in different locations.
We're outside. We're both outside.
So yeah, why don't you tell me a little bit about about how you got involved in the Essex Market?
Sure. Well, let's see. It was a really fortuitous meeting. Laura and I actually met at the counter at Shopson's. And so Shopson's is this, lovely establishment at the Essex Market, but it used to be at the Essex Street Market. So we met at the old market and found that we had similar interests in art and technology and storytelling. So we decided that if there was a chance, we'd be able to collaborate someday, and it evolved into a really nice partnership into Feed Me a Story. Yeah, Laura?
Yeah, that's the story. And then from there, we've been doing residencies, island hopping around Lower Manhattan, and always coming back to Essex Market. I live actually just a block away from the market.
Yeah, we've spent a lot of time, and then also had different versions of projects iterating, and then we had an audio tour project that we worked with the producer Sarah Kramer, and so so Sarah, and we have other collaborators and other storytellers who work with us. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, and so we are going to, throughout the program, listen to some clips of some of the projects that you did, including your audio tour that you did, as well as your Thanksgiving project. But before we dive into that, we have a couple other guests as well. So Cindy and Amanda are both at the market. So we are going to cut over to them and see how they're doing and check in with some vendors. So why don't we go to Cindy first? Cindy, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah. So Cindy,
All
tell
right.
us where you're at in the market.
Yeah, so I'm here. Actually, I'm just saying hello, but you're not gonna really see me for the rest of the time because we're going to be meeting with Lenin Costas here. So I'm inside the Essex Market, not far from the atrium here inside the space. You can see the mezzanine up there in the distance. But this here is the stall of Lenin Costas. And this is a business called Don Ceviche. And you can see this very colorful signage. His grandmother was really an inspiration for his business. She had been a pushcart vendor and then back in Peru and then owned a restaurant. And then he kind of learned his cooking from his grandma and then has developed his own take. And he got his start really at you want to share a little bit about how you got your start before you moved into the Essex market?
Sure. Hi, how are you? Welcome, everybody. This is Peruvian food, a Peruvian concept. So we started like 4 years ago in the food street, in the food festivals, like selling ceviches on the weekends. You know, with the time I was looking for a permanent spot. So we found this amazing place in the Essex market, ceviche place right here crossing the stand. So we start, with concept about only ceviches and Peruvian cold dishes. So after 1 year, we got a new opportunity to expanding our menu. So we moved right here to the corner, and we added like a new concept, like a Peruvian rotisserie chicken.
Okay, and so we're gonna get a closer look here at your rotisserie chickens that we have here. And you might be wondering, this is a Thanksgiving program, why rotisserie chickens? But like Andrew mentioned at the beginning, maybe some of you are staying at home. Maybe it's just one or two of you at home. You don't feel like cooking. You can come here and get one of these delicious rotisserie chickens that he prepares with some Peruvian spices. I'm going to show you what we have here in the case as well. So an excellent potential option for Thanksgiving. And looks like Lenin has his hands full with customers. So I'm going to pass it off to Amanda, who is with Saad at Essex Olive and Spice.
Hey, Amanda, you're muted. We can't hear you.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Wonderful. Okay, I'm Amanda. I'm down here at Essex Olive and Spice. And as Cindy mentioned, we're going to talk to Saad, who owns Essex Olive and Market and Spice, all about different spices and things that you can use as a rub for turkey for Thanksgiving and what people are buying this time of year. So I'm going to bring you around here. And take a look at some of the spices that they've got on sale here. So much like the last place that we were at, it's on Ceviche, the Essex Olive and Spice is also a business kind of sprung out of a family business. Saad's family owns an olive farm, is that correct?
Yes, indeed.
So can you tell us a little bit about your shop and what people are buying for Thanksgiving this year?
Well, you have all the essentials for Thanksgiving and for cooking in general, but especially this week. We have olive oils, of course, balsamic vinegars, and most importantly, the spices. And basically, for the turkey, you have all the fresh stuff. That makes the difference between a great turkey and okay one. So that's basically the freshness of every single spice. So,
and can you tell us a little bit about your background and about the shop and how you came?
Actually, I was born in Morocco, and I'm a CPA by training, so I was trained to do this, to get into this business because I want to have some fun, and it's really a lot of fun. It started as we started importing olive oil from family farm from Morocco, and it happened to be great. And one thing to another, and we have a shop in here, and it has been a really great experience. I love it.
And what are you getting for your Thanksgiving?
All right, Thanksgiving, actually, all the spices, I know where I'm going to get them from. The turkey is my wife's in charge of that, but basically.
Market shoppers, this is a reminder to please keep your mask on at all times while shopping, covering both your nose and mouth. Please aware of your surroundings and maintain 6 feet of distance between yourself and other shoppers. Atención a todos los clientes del Essex Market. Recordamos que mantengan
I'll just cut in here, folks. We'll be getting these announcements periodically throughout the program. Everybody's good job about wearing their mask and keeping social distance.
All right.
We're behind
So,
glass before Saad, but now we can see you.
All right. So after the announcement, basically, we get all the spices from here, of course, and it's going to be from the onion powder to. Then I'll give you the exact amount what I need. So what you're going to use is, of course, some salt, peppercorn. Peppercorn, we're going to use this year the black and pink, which absolutely phenomenal. Onion, garlic, basil, rosemary, and I'm sure my wife is going to ask for many other things. So it's looking forward to tasty one.
And that would be your recommended turkey breast.
Absolutely, with the Moroccan olive oil, of course. That's definitely will make a big difference.
And what are you finding people picking up the most for Thanksgiving?
Well, it's, basically this kind of spices. Also, a lot of spices to make wine, hot wine, which is mulled wine, yeah, which is very extremely popular.
And what kind of things would you buy if you were going to make mulled wine?
If you, we are making some right now. Anise star. What's the other one? The star anise, cloves whole, and sticks, cinnamon sticks. So basically, these are the 3 items that you need to have.
All right, Saad, well, thank you for talking to us today. And any more Thanksgiving tips before we pass it back to Andrew?
Well, just stay safe and have a small turkey this year. Enjoy and happy holidays to all.
Thanks so much to Amanda and Saad, and they're going to move to the other side of the market, and we'll check back in with Cindy and Amanda in a little bit. But I want to come back to Theresa and to Laura and talk a little bit about your audio tour that you put together for the market. So this is something that you did in the tell us a little bit about how this came together and how people can participate in this audio tour.
Sure. So we work with the Lower Manhattan Cultural Council, or kind enough that the Essex Market and the vendors, have worked with us, and also the community, right? So, and the vendors and the community, because the idea was to really get a sense to build upon our previous work of like what it was like to go through the new market, right? What are the smells, and really importantly, what is the history of the place, right? Laura, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think the customer's perspective also a vital part of the audio tour. So we really wanted to make an engaging audio tour that required the listener to not just be a customer, but to meet the customers that are there every day, as well as the vendors. Yes.
And we're going to listen to a little clip from the audio tour. And so the first part we're going to listen to, like you said, is from the new market, to get people accustomed to the new market. But for the rest of the program, most of the other things we're going to listen to are actually vendors, the same vendors, but in a different space in the old market building. So I'm going to pull this up here, and we are going to listen to a clip all about one of the grocery vendors, which is Luna Brothers.
You should now be in the atrium. Do you see a big red neon sign? Underneath it, there's a shop called Luna Brothers Fruit Plaza. Go inside. Luna Brothers is a family-owned business that came over from the old Essex Street Market. Like the other 20 vendors that moved from the old space, they pay the same rent per square foot as they did across the street. Look around. Do you see anyone carrying a yellow basket? If you do, I want you to discreetly shadow them as they shop. See what they put in their basket and think about how you could complement their grocery list. If you don't see anyone shopping, pick up a basket yourself and walk around the store.
So I love how you, obviously there's, you're really encouraging people to be in the space and capturing the sounds of the market, but it's also something that you can do from home. So you don't necessarily have to go to the market because you have that really wonderful soundscape throughout. And we'll be sharing links for where people can find the audio tour. But I wanted to talk a little bit about Thanksgiving. So you did this project again in the old market called Thanksgiving Edition. So tell us a little bit about. It's actually a series of videos, right?
Yep. So Thanksgiving Edition is a video cookbook brought to life by both the vendors as well as customers at the market. And we really, love this. Laura and I love this idea of Thanksgiving because everyone celebrates it in a different way, right? So you bring whatever different cultures you may have. Most times you can meet with family or your idea of what family is very broadly, right? You don't have to be blood related to have a wonderful Thanksgiving, right? We've heard of Friendsgiving, this year, who knows what folks will be able to do. It may be a combination. Laura, go ahead.
I was thinking about that. How did we come up with Thanksgiving Edition? We had been, doing a lot of collecting of stories about food. And one story that we collected was of someone who had he's Korean American, and he was at their Thanksgiving, his mom served all types of pickled things and kimchi, and that story really was inspiring because I think it made us think about how everybody celebrates this holiday and has different stories around the food and the customs that really make us American because we're from everywhere. And it was after many years of actually collecting stories that the Thanksgiving edition kind of feels like a culminating project, although we have made many projects since, but really special. And what we did in the other market, the stories certainly carry over. The customers have carried over. We also, to end the Thanksgiving edition, like we celebrated with actually having a brunch in one of the stalls in the old market as well.
And what we did from this in the stall was we had a guest book where people would write down memories, old and new, of visiting the market and recipes. There was an illustrator, Missy Lasco, a shout out, who drew an illustration, and having things come to add a little more to Laura's story about the pickles for Thanksgiving. That story was actually told to us during a residency on, it was either Governor's Island or Ellis Island by none other than Ellis Island. Yeah. None other than Peter Kim from formerly of MoFad and now consulting at Instagram, the food expert. So we didn't know when we had talked at the time, and he was there. So it was just wonderful how the communities sometimes come together in New York, how the world gets small.
Oh, that's great. So we're going to listen to a little clip now of Sabeda, who's from Viva Fruits and Vegetables. Again, another one of the grocery vendors in the market. And so we'll get a little, so the rest of the clips that we'll listen to throughout the program will be from the Thanksgiving edition series.
We do fruits, we do vegetables, we do roots back from, different countries, from Dominican Republic, we get, Puerto Rico, Jamaica, Asian. We have a lot of different variety in customers. Because we almost eat the same thing. Just different countries, but we almost eat the same thing. It was me, my kids, my husband, my sister and her kids, and my parents. And we had turkey, we had rice and peas, we had different kinds of salads, we had veggies, a lot of different stuff. And we did a pork, penne, we call it penne. We season it, dry rub and oregano, garlic, adobo, salt, pepper. We use sour oranges from back home. We do potato salad. Our potato salad is different from an American potato salad. We put eggs, mayonnaise, carrots, onions, peppers.
So maybe people got some ideas there for things to add to their Thanksgiving table this year. What about you guys? Do you have any Thanksgiving traditions that you want to share?
Oh, that's a good question. Laura, go ahead, and then I'll go.
Yeah, I'm always I living on the Lower East Side. The request for my family is always, don't forget to bring the dumplings, because that's what we do. We have dumplings, and my father makes Peking duck as well. He doesn't. We're not like a big turkey family, and he actually likes to make it crispy and make the pancakes and everything. So we're Jewish, but that's the type of Thanksgiving we celebrate.
And I'm culturally Chinese, so grew up going to Chinatown, driving. My dad would drive my brother and my mom and I into Chinatown. But what we're doing this Thanksgiving, we'll have to see. But my mom usually makes, she makes this interesting Jello with cranberry sauce. I mean, other families do this too. I think she adds walnuts and celery, and it's Jello, like strawberry flavored or other. And then adds cranberry sauce, and it becomes this, you put it in a mold, and it's just fun to look at, and you put it, it's a set, you put it, she puts a piece of lettuce underneath, and then the square piece of gelatinous wonder is there to eat and to enjoy. So it's been something that she's been doing since I was a little girl.
Yeah, and if anybody else has other Thanksgiving traditions you want to share, you can drop them into the chat, and we'll have time towards the end to talk about them as well. I talk about this all the time, but it's not so much a tradition as it is sort of a trick. Everybody has their tricks for cooking turkeys, but a trick that I use now that I learned from my mother, which is to wrap the entire turkey in strips of bacon, and then it bastes the turkey as the bacon cooks. So you don't ever have to baste it, and it comes out, super, super moist and delicious. So that's I think most of my siblings do that now as well with their families. But we have another clip that we want to talk about, and a very, very kind of traditional food for many communities represented in the market. But before we do that, we have our next trivia question. So this might give you a clue to what the next clip is going to be. So let me pull this up here, and we will dive in. And Laura and Theresa, feel free to play along with the trivia as well. Okay, so question number 2 is which dish is made in large quantities and eaten throughout the holiday season in Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, and other Caribbean countries? So we have pasteles, mofongo, chicharrón, and empanadas. All right, we're kind of all over the place, but pasteles is the food that is probably most closely associated a little bit with Thanksgiving. You start making them around Thanksgiving time, but eat them throughout the Christmas season. And so we're going to listen to another clip here from not from a vendor, but actually from a customer named Mary. So I'll play that, and then we can discuss it a little bit. Okay.
Hi, my name is Mary, and I'm here because my daughter's coming down from college, so she needs her traditional Puerto Rican plates that we usually have every Thanksgiving. So I've been coming, like I said, probably my grandmother since I was 3 years old doing this and making, well, what I'm making today is pasteles. So it's a process, but something very, very yummy, and we always have it for Thanksgiving, Christmas, and special occasions. Well, this is called a marqueta. We call it a marqueta. We've been coming here for years. We usually buy our meats and our produce to make all the stuff, and it's a lot that goes in it. We buy bananas, green bananas, plantains. You have pork, garbanzo beans, and let's see, yautía. It's a lot that goes in it. So, and you got to buy special paper with banana leaves, and nowadays they do it with a food processor, but I still do it old school, and I do it with a grater, and I do it, it takes a long time, but I think it tastes a lot better.
So, you know, in the old market, it was such a small space. It's hard to avoid pasteles, you know, at the holiday season. They're just everywhere. So many vendors making them or selling them. But I just wanted to ask you how you kind of connected and got these stories, not just from the vendors, but from the customers in the market for this project.
Yeah, it really is, you know, loving the market and spending time there, right? Because like you can get a set of stories if you just pop in. But what's wonderful is that Laura and I, and you know, for the audio story, Sarah Kramer, but for Thanksgiving edition, we would spend just a lot of time talking, right? Shopping and chatting and observing, and then spending time with people. And so getting to know both the vendors and then looking and seeing the customers that looked, you know, if they're picking up something that looked interesting or unusual, and people would want to engage. We found that many people wanted to engage with us. Yeah.
And we also have this cart, like an airline stewardess cart that we go around with, and often we like offer an exchange, you know, something for stories as well. It's becomes like like we're stewardesses, you know, helping people share their stories.
So we don't pay them money, right? But we either pay them with pay them. The exchange is that it's either something that we've had from the cart, or that or it's, you know, time and energy, right? So like
we have distributed refreshment.
Yeah.
At the Essex market last year to launch the audio tour. We actually did an activity where we had everyone decorate, you know, reusable shopping bags with stories and recipes and food, and yes, and it becomes, I think, a deliver, and you have these bags that say "Feed me a story" on them, and so it becomes this. That's really how we came up with our name too, because it's really about sharing the stories behind the food.
And you guys also had a stall in the old market for a period, right?
Yes, yeah. Thanks to the, you know, to the folks at the market and the New York City Economic Development Corporation.
And Cuchi Fritos.
Yes, and thank you, Laura. Definitely with Jody and with the folks at Cuchi Fritos, we were able to use one of the stalls there, and we had our exhibition. So we showed videos, the video documentary of the recipes. We had our cart there, and there was a bench so people could listen to the stories, and then we had people, write down recipes from foods, dishes that they bought when they were in the market. Some people both talked about the Essex market, but they also mentioned La Marqueta, and so that's interesting. And I'm glad that you'll be covering that in a future series, right, later this year. So there are just a lot of interesting tie-ins, right? And then there were people visiting. So there are tourists who come to the Essex market, right, and to the old market. So it's interesting for us to have read through the types of comments and the stories, and folks who were also, nostalgic and talking about the changes that have gone on in the neighborhood, and the multicultural and generational changes. Yeah.
Great. Well, we're gonna continue our conversation in a couple of minutes, but we're gonna cut back to the market now, and we're gonna check in with Cindy, who is we'll see where she's at.
Yeah, but speaking of pasteles, wow.
Yeah. So here we have,
And-
right, we have some green plantains, yellow plantains, cassava.
And which stall are you at, Cindy?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm at Viva. So the clip that you listened to with Sabeda, this is, their family. This is a family business. They've been in the Essex market for about 20 years. Sabeda's father actually started the business. And he had originally been in the sort of wholesale food business here in New York, and then decided to open up a shop and really respond to the demand that people had for these ingredients. In fact, one of my best friends of all time here in New York, he's now, his family is Puerto Rican, and he said that for Thanksgiving every year, they've always made a point to come here and shop at Viva, as well as Luna Brothers, to get these ingredients. So they're pretty busy here, but I wanted to come over and just introduce you. This is Grace here, and this is a stall called La Tiendita, which you can see. And everything that you see here is made by local girls and young women on the Lower East Side. And it's totally free for them to participate in this girls club. And we just thought for Thanksgiving, it might be fun to show, Grace, if you could show us, like, if people are looking for an apron or something for the holidays, they have this really sweet apron here that's made by girls in their sewing program. And then they also have been making these masks.
And then the fiber is designed by Amy Sedera.
Oh, Amy Sedera designed the fabric and donated it for the girls to sew these masks. And so it's a really great organization. Thank you so much, Grace. We encourage you to come and to sort of check out their website. Certainly we have Giving Tuesday next week. So that's a great time to support different nonprofit organizations. So this is certainly an important one for the community and for the neighborhood. And then we're going to just make our way over to one other stall here and speak to my friend Julian here from Valley Shepherd Creamery.
Cindy, how's it going?
Hey, how you doing? So tell us, what are people buying cheese-wise?
For Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
We don't know yet. Hopefully something, a little fancier than usual, right? We have a beautiful truffle triple cream that's hidden in the back that we're bringing out next week. We have some really fancy, very aged French Alpines over here. And then we make a bunch of cheeses on our farm in New Jersey. My favorite right now is the Crema de Blue, which is a really beautifully decadent blue cheese, one of the best batches I've had in a very long time, so I'm excited about that one. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, hopefully people show up.
Right, absolutely. And what are you going to be making for Thanksgiving this year?
I have not decided yet. I'm going to be having Thanksgiving with my roommate and her dog. So I do not know. Do you have any suggestions?
Do you have any favorite Thanksgiving dishes from?
Oh, just the traditional stuff, I mean, I do, cheese is definitely a central part of, any holiday meal. So Thanksgiving is no exception.
And in this case, people probably buy dessert cheeses as well for Thanksgiving.
Right. Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
Right, the cheese after the main course.
Yeah.
Not just before.
And people might be able to see this in the background, but could you just explain where Valley Shepherd Creamery has its farm?
So we're in Long Valley, New Jersey, which is the very western tip of Morris County. So it sounds like it's very close to New York, but it's actually about an hour and a half from the city. It's a really beautiful part of New Jersey. The farm is usually open for those of you who are interested, but I think right now may not be the time to go.
Yeah.
But in the springtime, right around lambing season, it's really lovely, and the lambs are very cute, of course. So that's around February, March.
That's great. Well, thank you so much, Julia. We really appreciate your time. I'm just going to show the cheese case here for just a second to whet people's appetite here. You can see all of the cheeses that have blue labels come from their farm in New Jersey. Okay, so speaking of cheese, we're actually going to go live now over to a different vendor that Amanda's with that specializes in vegan options for Thanksgiving that include vegan cheeses. So I'll pass it off to Amanda.
Hi guys, so as Cindy just mentioned, we're here at Riverdale. They do vegan cheeses, but they also do a number of other vegan products, some of which you may want to be picking up for Thanksgiving. They've got sauces, as we mentioned, cheeses. They've got cold cuts. We're going to talk to Sunshine, who works at Riverdale, a little bit about what they do here and about what they're doing for Thanksgiving. Hello, Sunshine.
Hey guys, how you doing?
So can you tell us a little bit about Riverdale and what you sell here?
Yeah, so we are actually the original vegan cheesemongers. We make our own vegan cheese, and we have cheese from pretty much all over the country. Yeah, and then people are getting ready for the holidays, even though this pandemic has shut out a lot of business. We've been doing okay. We do shipping. However, everyone, just keep that in mind. And yeah, any questions you might have, we're getting ready for Thanksgiving. I don't know about you guys.
So Sunshine, I mean, what would be the kind of key things for a vegan Thanksgiving? Has it come quite a long way from the tofurkey of the mid 90s?
Oh, absolutely. The vegan era has actually just begun, and it's only getting better on a daily basis. There's a lot of different options. I'll just show you a few here. So we have a bunch of different roasts. We have the field roast. We have the tofurkey. We have the dog.
So these would be all main dishes, all turkey alternatives.
Absolutely. These are all turkey alternatives. They're meat-free meat. Some have soy, some don't. The dogs are actually gluten-free, soy-free. So it depends on, what you like. So we do have a lot of options for our vegan community. And then, as far as cheese goes, you can never go wrong with the Billy Holiday. It's our health-made cheese. It's made with cranberries and pecan, cashew dates. And we also have another holiday dessert one here. This is the red curd from Rye out in Brooklyn, New York. It's pretty local. So, and then as you see, we have a very, very huge selection of cheese. Depending on what you like, we're here for you. We got everything you need.
And absolutely everything is vegan, is that
Every single thing that we sell, it's all vegan. It's all vegan.
Okay. Well, before we pass it back to Andrew, any last Thanksgiving tips or vegan tips that you can give us for a vegan Thanksgiving?
Well, follow us, Riverdale Cheese. We have all the updates. We do shipping. We do pre-orders. We have pies that are available for pickup. Whatever you need, just follow us. We keep you updated, and we ship to you.
Okay. Well, thank you, Sunshine. Thank you for joining us today.
Care,
All right, thanks, Amanda. So why don't we just keep it going? We're going to talk more about some cheese. So I'll invite Theresa and Laura to come back. And as they're rejoining, we're going to listen to a clip from a vendor who's been in the market for a while. The last two vendors we listened to, both Julian and Sunshine, the businesses they work at are both new to the market, but we're going to listen to Andrew Clark, who has been in the market for a long time at Formaggio Essex. So I'll let him introduce himself, and then we'll come back in a second.
My name is Andrew Clark. I manage Formaggio Essex inside the Essex Street Market in Lower East Side, Manhattan. Oh, my mom makes this amazing stuffing with a lot of butter in a thick pan, super thick pan. Lardon. I don't know where she gets her bacon. Maybe I should take her our bacon. Really thick, good thick bread in chunks. Cooks it down, with onion and celery, real thin slices of celery, a big dash of bourbon, and chestnuts. Chestnuts. It's just like her stuffing is just perfect, and it's crisp. It's crispy and crunchy without being hard, and it's soft and chewy without being mushy. It's just perfect. I don't know how she does it.
So I think, next week, these are kind of feelings that a lot of us are going to be having. I don't mean to make this a program that like makes us, feel like we're missing something or sad, because I know a lot of us aren't going to be able to enjoy those foods that we find just so perfect. So perfect from our own families and our own traditions. But I just love that little clip from Andrew, talking about his own personal traditions. But like I said, that's a stall it was in the old market and is now in the new market. But maybe you guys can tell us a little bit about the transition, how that kind of impacted going from, one project to another in interpreting and sharing the market with people after the old market closed.
Sure. Well, definitely there were some concerns, as we were listening to the news and getting folks from input from the community and understanding, like, I think there was a negotiation process, right, about like how the existing vendors, like giving them the opportunity to go to the new market. The space of the new market, how it looks is quite different. So there's I think, struggling with these feelings of both nostalgia and of what is good about the old market, but also in terms of foot traffic and additional customers, and how to have existing customers feel included in the new market. So these were things that we were not sure how it was all going to play out, right? And figuring out what are the vendors who we've been working with and the folks who we've seen for years, like, are they going to be able to make, or will they make the transition to the new market? So those were some of the things that I think Laura and I, were thinking about. And then seeing the beautiful space, right, and the welcoming space. I think the programming that is being done, both with the community for teaching children cooking classes and some seniors. There's a kitchen in the new market, and so we've been able to hold programming there. So it's definitely been it's been a change, right? But Laura, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I all of that, and that there's also new vendors, of course, and to welcome that as part of the story. I think for Theresa and I, the audio tour was a way to create a bridge between the two markets, and a bridge with the history, and I think storytelling is one of those, whether it's audio or video or oral story, I think the storytelling helped with bridging the old market with the new market and welcoming new patrons and vendors and making people part of the story of the new Essex Street Market, and including everyone from the past as well.
Yeah, and like you said, of course, the customers are a big part of that too. And you see customers all the time that you recognize from the old market, but of course there are so many new people coming to the market as well, which is great. We're going to cut away for a second because we have one more trivia question that relates to another clip from a customer that I think is so great about Thanksgiving. And so this is going to be question number 3. So again, if you've joined us a little bit late, you can just follow at the top of the screen, go to menti.com and type in that code, and you can play along. So our next question. So in Mexican cuisine, the flour of which root vegetable is commonly used in dishes such as quesadillas and empanadas? So we have the potato, the squash, the turnip, or the carrot. All right, so the answer is the squash, or the calabaza. So that's what we're going to talk about in the next clip. Maybe you guys can set this up for us a little bit about who these patrons Ramon and Gadiel were and how you connected with them.
Sure. So as we were wandering around the market, Gadiel is a stylist and a creative, an artist, and I think he happened to be in the market with his friend, which we'll hear about with Ramon, and so they both have a skill for storytelling, and I hope that you could see they were so easy to talk to, and I think their friendship is so warm, and you could see how so it just seemed like they were a very good choice to to share their story, and we really appreciate it.
All right, so let's listen to their story. So there's actually kind of two food stories that are in this clip here.
We're making a soup for tomorrow. We're gonna start with this butternut squash soup. So yeah, we're shopping today for all kinds of things. So the butternut squash soup, basically we'll cut it and steam it and add onions and cream probably and maybe stock. And make it today so it's ready for tomorrow. It's one less thing I have to worry about tomorrow. A tip on how to cut it is like I will cut this part first and this, then cut it in half, and then cut that in half again lengthwise, and then steam it with the skin off. It's easier to peel it once it's steamed, and then just puree it.
Cook everything while singing. Everything will taste better. We've come every time I come, we come here, and it's interesting. And just this couple of days ago, I found the papitas bonillas, and a specialty store here of potato chips from the town where my family is in Spain, in Galicia, which is something so funny, outrageous to find them here, but they have everything.
So I love that. I think that's really good advice to always sing while you're cooking. I love that.
Yep,
it's out better that way.
It's also a very important tip as well to soften the butternut squash. I don't know how many people out there have nearly lost limbs trying to cut and peel a butternut squash. They can be pretty hazardous. So soften it up first. That's really important. So we have just a couple of minutes left. We'll cut back to the market in a minute or so. I just wanted to, again, if people have other questions or comments they'd like to add. So Richard adds is that the new market is wonderfully bright, modern, and clean looking. And I also wanted to add as well that I know a lot of people are joining us. Maybe you don't live in the Lower East Side. Maybe it's not a place you shop regularly, or maybe you're trying to avoid going out and shopping in crowds. With most of the vendors at the market, you can actually shop online. So we dropped a link into the website Mercato, mercato.com, and there's a whole page with most of the vendors in the Essex market, so you can order and they'll deliver it to you. So you can still shop at the market without actually having to go to the market and shop. But yeah, Laura and Theresa, is there anything else you want to add as we head into Thanksgiving?
If anyone's interested in revisiting any of the stories of all the Thanksgiving different traditions, we have them posted on our website and our Vimeo channel. I think we can pop that in the chat.
Yeah, we dropped the in the chat.
Tour.
Yeah, yep. So you can we dropped the link to the SoundCloud so you can access the audio tour. And again, the Thanksgiving edition is so great because you do have a longer form video, but then you also have a lot of short clips as well, so you can watch it in.
Yeah, our actual website, feedmeastory.com, kind of has all the videos embedded into the website, but the SoundCloud is just the audio tour.
Right.
And if folks want to email us with their stories of, either Thanksgivings in years past, of their memories of the market, or, of even what is happening this Thanksgiving, because it may be, as you were saying, Andrew, like it may be different this year. Yeah, let us know. So thank you for your time. Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks for having us. It was fun.
Yeah, thank you guys. So we're gonna cut to Amanda and see what's going on in the market for our last few minutes we have here. But Laura and Theresa, thank you so much. It's so great to have you back on the show, and it's always a pleasure to talk about the Essex market. It's just one of our favorite places in New York.
Same here. Thank you again.
Thank you so much.
And thanks everyone.
Okay, so I think you're muted, Amanda.
Oh, hey everybody. So this is our last stop today. We're here at Louise Meats. And we're here with Anawi, from whom we purchased a turkey. So this is for Andrew and me. We're going to be eating, just the two of us, a 14-pound turkey. So thank you so much. And this is, Louise Meats is one of the businesses that's really been in the market for decades and decades, going back to the 90s, to 1998. Husband and wife business, a lot of family members work here. It's great to support these family-owned businesses. And you can do that, by buying your ingredients. Like we've mentioned, you can also go on Mercado to purchase a lot of ingredients here from the market that support so many of these family-owned businesses that are here. So I just want to thank you all for joining us on the Thanksgiving program. Yeah.
Don't go away just yet, because we have one last trivia question, and our prize is
good
this
point,
beautiful
Andrew.
tote bag, which has a picture of the new market building on it. Yeah, so Cindy and I will admit, turkey is one of our favorite things to eat. So we actually roast a turkey of this size probably 5 or 6 times a year. And so we'll be eating turkey on Thanksgiving, but also turkey sandwiches and turkey soup for a long, long time after that. But yeah, that's sort of our family tradition, which is to eat turkey pretty much year round. But yeah, so thanks for picking that up, Cindy. But we're going to go to our last trivia question. So bear with me for 1 second. And so our trivia question is actually about turkey. All right. So our final question, and then we'll pull up the leaderboard and see who our winner is. But our last question is, in 1900, there were an estimated 30,000 wild turkeys in the US. So thanks to reintroduction efforts, how many now live in the US? Is it 250,000, 3 million, 7 million, or 20 million? So how many wild turkeys are estimated to now live in the US? And the correct answer was 7 million. So no one got that, actually. So we went from 30,000 at the beginning of the century to 7 million today. And it's estimated that before European contact, there were about 10 million turkeys living in the US. So we're actually getting close to that. They've really been a huge success. I grew up in New England, and we've had those wild turkeys have started to pop up since the 80s. And now, of course, we have a huge turkey population on Staten Island here in New York City. So thanks so much, everybody, for playing. And we should announce our winner. So our winner, as it calculates right here. Congratulations to Allison. So Allison is our big winner. So if you want to just send us an email, or you can drop it into the chat if you're still with us, and we can get your contact info so we can send you this beautiful tote bag. So congratulations, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you to Amanda and Cindy and all the vendors in the Essex Market, and of course the whole team at the Essex Market, at the Vendors Association and the New York City Economic Development Corporation for helping make today's program possible. And I want to give a big thanks to Theresa and Laura from Feed Me a Story for all the wonderful work they've done through the years to document the stories of the Essex Market. So thank you all to everyone. I hope everybody has a wonderful and happy and safe Thanksgiving. I know we can't all have the Thanksgiving that we wish we could be having, especially after, I know many of us have been away from our families for months and months, but hopefully we generated some ideas. You learned from some traditions that may not be part of your Thanksgiving tradition, and maybe some ideas for making a little bit smaller Thanksgiving this year. So thank you so much, everybody. Again, my name is Andrew. I'm from Turnstile Tours. I hope you enjoyed today's program. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to reach out to us, and we hope you'll join us for another one of our upcoming virtual programs. So our next one is going to be next Tuesday, where we're looking at the work of Cass Gilbert. And be sure to join us on December 3rd, when we'll have another free program where we'll be visiting the Urban Garden Center going into the next holiday season, and we'll be talking about the plants of the holidays at the Urban Garden Center. So thank you all so much. Have a wonderful holiday, and we will see you soon.